Hello, children. Today we shall be revising the chapters. So, let's get started with the first chapter for the final examination, that is Indian National Movement, the struggle for India's freedom. So, it's named them. An act which didn't allow Indians to keep firearms. It's the Arm Act of 1875, which was passed by Lord Lytton, and it's one of the examples of racial discrimination or racial arrogance of the British. B. Curbing the freedom of the vernacular newspapers. It is Vernacular Press Act of 1878, which didn't allow the Indians to publish anything against the Britishers in any language. Again, it was an example of racial discrimination. Then C. The bill which tried to give the Indian judges the power to judge the cases of the British. It's the Ilbert Bill of 1883. However, the bill was soon withdrawn by the Britishers because it gave power to the Indian judges, and this was not appreciated by the Europeans. Next, D. A British official who played an important role in the formation of the INC, A.O. Hume. He played a very important role in the formation of the Indian National Congress. He brought Indians from the different regions together. Next, let's see. Political organizations formed in different parts of India. See, if I talk of Indian National Congress, it was the umbrella organization. However, besides this organization, there were various other organizations formed like Pune Sarvajanik Sabha, Madras Mahajan Sabha. It is given on page number 110. Bombay Presidency Association. The delegates who attended the first meeting of INC. The first meeting of INC was attended by W.C. Banerjee, who presided over it, Dadabhai Naoroji, Badruddin Tyabji, Firoz Shah Mehta, Surendranath Banerjee, S. Subramanya Iyer, Ramesh Chandra Dutt, Dinshaw Idalchi Vacha. There are so many. And the first session was held at Gokul Das Tejpal Sanskrit College of Bombay. The movement which discarded foreign goods, it was the boycott movement, where the Indians boycotted the British goods. The movement which encouraged the use of Indian goods, Swadeshi movement. The session where the moderates and the conservatives split. Now it was the Surat session of 1907 when the moderates and the extremists split. Now, after this, let's see. Elaborate Kakori incident. Kakori incident had been one of the incidents where the revolutionaries tried to shake the British rule, and they were successful to some extent in shaking the British rule. So, if I talk of the Kakori incident, there were two young men, Khudiram Bose and Prafulla Chakki. In 1908, they threw a bomb at a carriage near Kakori to loot wealth so that they could finance the struggle against the Britishers. And of course, they wanted to kill Kingsford, who was an unpopular judge at Muzaffarpur, while Prafulla Chakki shot himself dead. Khudiram Bose was tried and hanged. This is an example of a revolutionary movement. Revolutionary were those people who hid their identities and they struggled. They fought against the Britishers. Next, discuss the impact of First World War. If I talk of the impact of First World War had great impact on our lives, on the lives of the Indians. First of all, income tax was introduced. Then, second, the Indians agreed to help the Britishers with the hope that the Britishers would do something. The Britishers made vague promise about giving India certain freedom. However, they never kept their promises. Once the war was over, they did not keep their promise and Indians felt betrayed. During the First World War, Bal Gangadhar Tilak and Annie Besant kept demanding Poon Swaraj. And besides this, the Indians were forced to serve in the army and to fight on behalf of the Britishers in the First World War. They fought and many Indians died. Food grain was transported to the front and there was shortage of food within the country. When the Indian soldiers returned, they were inspired by the Russian Revolution and realized that unity is strength. Through unity only, they could fight against the Britishers. Now, the next is discuss the formation of Swaraj Party. Swaraj Party was formed within the Congress only after the non-cooperation movement. It was formed by Chittaranjan Das and Motilal Nehru, and they decided to fight the elections to the legislative councils, enter the council, and then put forward their demands and oppose the British government. So they wanted to fight the elections. Next question number 5. Discuss the incidents of bombing the Central Legislative Assembly. If I talk of discussing the incidents of bombing the Central Legislative Assembly, now there was a revolutionary association called Hindustan Socialist Republican Association, HSRA. HSRA was formed by Chandrasekhar Azad and Bhagat Singh and Batukeshwar Dutt threw a bomb in the Central Legislative Assembly on 8th April 1929. Their aim was not to kill any British officer, rather to warn the British. State the importance of the Lahore Session, very important. Lahore Session was very important. It is another important incident in the Indian history because the Indians adopted tricolor flag and they decided that they wanted complete independence. They wanted Poon Swaraj and they declared 26 January. They declared 26 January 1930 as Independence Day. State the relevance of Round Table Conference. If I talk of Round Table Conference, then Indians boycotted the first Round Table Conference. They never attended the first Round Table Conference. However, after the civil disobedience movement and arrest of Abdul Ghaffar Khan, Mahatma Gandhi flew to London to attend the second Round Table Conference, where he put forward the demand that Abdul Ghaffar Khan and others should be released, and in return the Britishers wanted him to call off the civil disobedience movement. However, when Mahatma Gandhi returned India, he found himself betrayed because the remaining Congress leaders were also arrested in his absence, and Indian National Congress was declared illegal. Discuss the Direct Action Day. Now, if I talk of Direct Action Day was launched by the Muslim League to get Pakistan by brutal force, and the announcement of Lord Mountbatten. Lord Mountbatten declared that Indian Union should be parted into India and Pakistan before the independence. And of course, the freedom was accompanied by sorrow, partition, and thousands of people, lakhs of people lost their lives, livelihood. They became refugees. Revolt of 1857. The revolt of 1857 is famous in history as the first war of independence. Second blank, Veer Savarkar and A. Mehta called the revolt of 1857 as the first war of independence because of the participation of both Hindus and Muslims. Who called upon his fellow sepoys to revolt against the use of new cartridges? It was Mangal Pandey, who called upon his fellow sepoys to revolt against the use of the greased cartridges. Who challenged the British when they refused to recognize the right of her adopted son to the throne in Jhansi? It was Rani Lakshmi Bai, who challenged the British when they refused to recognize the right of her adopted son to the throne in Jhansi. Name them. It became the center point for rallying the rebels. Now, there were various central points. The most important was New Delhi. At that point of time, Delhi. He was proclaimed leader of the revolt by the soldiers from Meerut who marched to Delhi. It was Bahadur Shah Zafar. He and his wife were later on imprisoned in Rangoon. He was the last Mughal emperor. He led the revolt in Kanpur and declared himself as the Peshwa. Nana Sahib. He led a revolt in Ara, Kunwar Singh. He led a revolt in and near Ara. He supported Nana Sahib in the revolt of 1857, a very loyal commander. That's Tantia Tope. Nana Sahib fled to this neighboring country after the British recaptured Kanpur, Nepal. Measures taken by the Britishers to improve the condition of the women. They banned child marriage, they introduced widow remarriage legislation act. They were the humanitarian measures. However, these became the religious causes of the revolt of 1857. The conservatives did not appreciate the interference of the Britishers in the Indian customs. The adopted son of Bajirao too, Nana Sahib. So, now let's start the revision of the next chapter, the Indian judiciary. The judiciary resolves disputes that arise between Indian citizens, between states of India, between center and a state or more than one state. And if I talk of the problems and the disputes which arise between center and the state or between two states, they are dealt in the Supreme Court. The DAS is the apex institution in India. It's the Supreme Court. DAS cases can be settled outside the court. Civil cases are the cases which can be settled outside the court. These include any kind of, say, property related dispute between the two brothers, divorce related matters. Criminal cases deal with crimes like robbery, murder, theft. The verdict of the court is restricted to what in case of the trial of the civil cases? In case of civil cases, it could just be penalty, or it could be penalty, it could be just fines, nothing more than that. A person cannot be sent to jail, a person cannot be sent for lifetime imprisonment. So, in case of these civil cases, there cannot be any kind of capital punishment. A person can just be fined, or there could be some kind of penalty. Criminal cases may lead to severe punishments like imprisonment. There could be fines also, or there could be capital punishments. Capital punishments like hanging. The head of the Supreme Court is the Chief Justice of India. The Chief Justice of India is appointed by. Who appoints the Chief Justice of India? The Chief Justice of India is appointed by the President. There are 25 other judges under the Chief Justice. PIL, public interest litigations are filed when the public interest is undermined or not given due attention by any government act. They can be filed in the High Court or the Supreme Court. The oldest High Court in India is the Calcutta High Court, and the Supreme Court was inaugurated in 1950. Actually, it was inaugurated on 28 January, 28 January 1950. Since I've asked in, so it's in 1950 and on 28 August 1950. So according to the prepositions, you will mention. Now name them. Garden City of India. It's Bangalore, known for its pleasant weather. Industrial regions of India. Industrial regions could be Kanpur, Lucknow, it could be Mumbai, Pune, it could be Bangalore, Chennai, Coimbatore, Kolkata, Hooghly, Delhi, Gurugram, Meerut, Ahmedabad, Vadodara, etc. TISCO established at the confluence of these rivers. TISCO is established at the confluence of the rivers Subarna Rekha and Kharkai. It's the only industry, iron and steel industry, which is privately owned, established at the confluence of the two rivers Subarna Rekha and Kharkai in Jharkhand. Manchester of Japan is Osaka. Electronic capital of India, again Bangalore. Silicon Valley of India is also Bangalore. Electronic capital of India is also Bangalore. And Manchester of India is Mumbai and Ahmedabad. Now let's see the next question. Very interesting. Draw parallel between Bangalore and Silicon Valley of California. Now what is the parallel? I mean, what are the similarities between Bangalore and Silicon Valley of California? See, Bangalore is known as Silicon Valley of India, and we have Silicon Valley of California. Both are known for IT industry. Both have excellent educational institutions and research centers. Both have humid climate. Both have eco-friendly environment. That's why Bangalore is also known as the Garden City. At one point of time, both had cheap land, and this attracted the IT industry towards them. Both have amazing and first class infrastructure, as well as both are well connected by means of roads, railways, waterways, and air transport. And since there are colleges there, so skilled workforce is readily available, right? So these are the similarities between Bangalore and Silicon Valley of California. And if I say why Bangalore has emerged, why has Bangalore emerged as the Silicon Valley of India, we have the same set of reasons. And we have one more reason, that the government of Bangalore was far-sighted and left no stone unturned to attract the IT industry. Now, the next question, what are the similarities between Osaka and Maharashtra? First of all, both are located near the water body. Maharashtra, if I talk of Mumbai, Mumbai is known as the Manchester of India, and Osaka is known as the Manchester of Japan. Both enjoy humid climate, and which is very very important for the strands of cotton, else they might break. Then both have amazing water transportation system, well developed water transportation system, and waterways is the cheapest means of transportation. Both have infrastructure, communication facilities, and besides this, the water transportation also allows easy transport of machines from the other countries. So the port facility is very very important. The moist climate is also very very important, and this is the reason that Osaka is called the Manchester of Japan, and we have Ahmedabad and Maharashtra, which are known as the Manchester, actually Mumbai, the Manchester of India. And Ahmedabad and Mumbai both have labor readily available, cheap labor, abundant labor readily available, and both are located in the places where there is black soil, which is ideal for growing cotton. And in fact, it is believed that cotton has originated in India only. So these are the similarities. With this, I wind up the session and request all of you to go through the chapters well, go through the workbook, revise well, and all the best. Thank you.